All right, guys. So it appears that over the weekend, Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, our two favorite politicians right now, their homes were vandalized in an attempt to send them a message about what had happened over the past week in regards to the $2,000 stimulus checks. Now, I'm doing this story because I think this is an important topic to talk about in terms of why something like this happens and how the American people are currently feeling about these lockdowns and the lack of help from the government for a problem that they cause. And I think that this really is just a spillover of that frustration. But before we get into that, my name is Greg Foreman and you're watching a Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black Conservative Perspective, aka a leftist worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. All right, guys, let's take a look at this video real quick about Nancy Pelosi's home being vandalized so you guys can get better context.
Of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi spray painting graffiti and leaving behind a pig's head. KPIX5's Katie Nielsen is at Pelosi's Pacific Heights home.
The majority of the vandalism has already been cleaned up. The black spray-painted graffiti now covered by black garbage bags. The journalist who broke this story says this was extreme even by San Francisco standards. This picture of the overnight vandalism at House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's home has now gone viral.
It was obviously a very aggressive, very intimidating message.
Maggie Vandenberg says a source took the picture just after midnight and sent it to her, showing a severed pig's head in a pool of red paint in front of the Congresswoman's garage in Pacific Heights, along with graffiti that says $2,000 and cancel rent and we want everything, possibly a reference to the stalled additional stimulus checks. Pelosi is currently in Washington, D.C. and was not home at the time this happened. She is also not the only politician whose home has been targeted over the past few months. San Jose Mayor Sam Liccardo's house was vandalized during demonstrations. Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf's home was spray painted as well. And demonstrators gathered outside the home of San Francisco Mayor London Breed.
Now, I think that's enough. Obviously, as you guys can see there, Nancy Pelosi house was vandalized. It says canceled rent. We want everything. Which is definitely a reference to the stimulus checks. And there was a selfish pig head with basically fake blood in front of it. So I don't necessarily know what the pig's head is in reference to, but it definitely was an interesting add-on. Now, Mitch McConnell, his house was also vandalized, as you can see here. In front of his house, he had "Where's My Money?" Mitch kills the poor, and probably some other expletives in front of the house as well. And I'll post pictures as I'm talking so you guys can get better context. Now, Nancy Pelosi has not released a statement, but Mitch McConnell has. And Mitch McConnell released a statement on Saturday that basically condemned the vandalism at his home and basically said, "I've spent my career fighting for the First Amendment and defending peaceful protests," he stated. "I appreciate every Kentuckian who has engaged in a democratic process, whether they agree with me or not. This is different. Vandalism and politics of fear have no place in our society." McConnell said he and his wife were not intimidated by the vandalism. "We just hope our neighbors in Louisville aren't too inconvenienced by this radical tantrum." All right, so obviously the police are investigating this incident. All right, guys, so my take on this. I mean, honestly, like I said, I'm not surprised at all, guys. I mean, I guess my question is that who did this? Which it seems like there was like some Antifa logos on Nancy Pelosi's door. And this seems coordinated. It happened basically at the same time on both houses. So I think this is definitely more likely than not to be something Antifa related. Also considering how it says cancel rent and we want everything. Making demands like that. That definitely seems to be something Antifa related. Also, what's interesting as well is that you're seeing a lot of these Democrat houses in the West Coast being vandalized. This is supposed to be the most liberal place in America. However, it's not liberal enough for these Antifa extremists, apparently. So I think it definitely was something that's coordinated at the very least, probably most likely by some type of Antifa related group, in my opinion. And also, as I'm thinking about this, I don't think these people actually live at these houses. I think these are like front houses, honestly. Like these politicians, there's no way they're living at these places that have their public addresses. Like looking at Mitch McConnell's house, looking at his net worth, I'm like, bro, you not living there, dog. Like you worth like $20-some million, you and your wife. Like there's no way you're living in a place like that. Come on now. I ain't no fool. Right? Same thing Nancy Pelosi. I don't think you living in that house. I think that's a front house. But regardless, you know, the message that it sends, in my opinion, is really a direct message that I think a lot of people are resonating with. Now, I don't condone any type of violence. I don't condone vandalism. But at the same time, you know, it just goes to show that people are tired of the games and politics. Now, I know, guys, I kind of cover the game of politics. Doesn't mean I like the game. I cover the game because I want you guys to see this is how the game is played. They're playing games with our lives, right? Now, Nancy Pelosi played this game with our life and the stimulus and relief back before the election. She admitted to holding up the stimulus before the election purely to try to get Trump out of office. That's what she did, right? She played games and basically made people suffer. Made people suffer because of it. And again, that's why I think that she was attacked. Because people don't forget that type of stuff. And it's obvious once you come out and you admit that you held up the process, you're going to get some blame for it. Now, Mitch McConnell didn't really have an opportunity to really hold up the process before. But obviously, when it came down to these $2,000 checks that President Trump had demanded, McConnell, again, without a doubt, held that up for the last week. Right? Matter of fact, he went out of his way to make sure that none of President Trump's demands were met that he gave to the Republicans the week of Christmas. And basically, he just decided he wasn't going to do any of it. And when people see that we're so close to the finish line on getting some major relief, not the little crumbs that's in the $600 stimulus check, plus all the pork that we're sending to other countries, right? And that's probably where the pig came from now I think about it, right? All the pork that we send to other countries, pork loci. The Democrats definitely didn't want to cut any pork out of the bill. Matter of fact, they went out of their way to make sure that demand would not be met. So that's kind of on them. But you know, when we see that happening and then you have people over here struggling, but you're giving money to all these other countries, all these other places, people can get upset. They're going to display their anger and you're going to end up with this type of vandalism, right, on property. And again, I don't condone this type of stuff, but at the same time, I'm not surprised at all. At some point, we got to start holding our politicians accountable. And if these politicians keep playing these games, especially during this type of lockdown where a lot of people want to open up, a lot of people want to open back up the country, a lot of people want their lives back. You got Bill de Blasio dancing in Times Square with his wife when nobody else can be in Times Square. Everybody else cannot enjoy a tradition that all Americans love every single year, whether you watch it on TV, whether you're there in person. He did not allow people to go to that event, right? But he could be there for that event with his wife. And not only could he be there, he could dance at midnight with his wife as if everything is cool. Rules for thee, but not for me. People not going to stand for this, man. People are not going to stand for this. And like I said, man, they keep this up, we're going to end up going the French Revolution route. That's what's going to end up happening. So these politicians, man, they better get their stuff together. I'm telling you, because both sides are getting sick and tired of these games. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.